But I have an account on Parler. Also, by the way, it's I believe it's actually technically supposed to be pronounced parlay, but that's a whole other rant.
Is it even parlay?
It is not. I don't think that's how you spell parlay. But I believe it. I believe it is supposed to be parlay, as in we're going to parlay.
I was gonna say like the pirate, like
yeah.
Like you have a parlay.
But that is neither here nor there. I have an account, a hidden account. Good luck finding me. If you can find me, I'll literally give you $5.
Yeah,
but so I did some digging, and I was like, I just want to see what's on here, because all of my like conservative friends, a lot of them have been like, yeah, I got on there, and it's more like Twitter because they're all on Facebook. And they're like, I didn't really like it, so I didn't stick around. And I was like, all right, that's fair. I'll give that to you. But they're still, like, discussing everything. And they're like, well, the stuff that's on there really isn't that bad. You know, the bad posts are very few, and they're removed, like, almost immediately. So I went through one hashtag that didn't even seem like that bad. I don't even know what the hashtag was supposed to be saying, because I have no idea what it was referencing. It could have been something horrible, but it didn't seem that bad. And I was like, I'm just going to start here. I'm going to go through this hashtag, and I'm going to dig through and see what I can find. I immediately found a WikiLeaks dump of emails that I was afraid to go through. A web page that had a video about Trump that I didn't watch, followed by a list of 20... politicians, it said 20 Americans that should be arrested and executed immediately. The first two being Obama and Biden, and their names were crossed off the list, and I thought that was very weird.
I feel like you're jumping the gun on that one a bit.
Right? And then the next couple links were anti-Semitic memes. And then there was another anti-Semitic meme. It was kind of anti-Semitic, but also very weird, and it was basically saying, hey, wouldn't it be terrible if we all went and planted explosives around the unguarded power stations all across the country and pretended like we knew nothing about it? Wouldn't that be bad? And I was like, okay. All of this in literally one hashtag that was just, I was only 6 posts deep. And that's everything that it was. And yeah. I was like, no, like, this is the stuff that you used to find going on the deep web through a VPN and special software. I know, I've been in there and I've dug through it before, and this stuff is all just out for everybody to see. On the internet, on accessible internet that I can look up on my iPhone. Really? Like, that's the kind of stuff that's on there, and that's why these sites are getting taken down, and you're not martyrs, and you're not victims, and you're not being persecuted, you're just shitty. And that's not right.
You're not the victims here. The people that you're attacking are, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's that's just the sad reality of it, you know? It's like, all these people, like, you're taking our way to communicate. It's like, these are the same people. I've read a book on this, by the way. It's one of the worst books I've ever read. And it was basically like an assassination of mainstream media, right? About how the BBC is useless. Because if you're familiar with the BBC at all, apparently it's biased to both the right-wing politicians and the left-wing politicians at the same time. Not sure how it does that, but every time they talk about something, that's all I see on Twitter. It's almost like they're neutral or something. But the problem...
News company neutral. Wow.
The problem with it is that this entire argument that these books were making, because there was more than one of them, was that the BBC is biased to left-wing media because they're not showing radical right-wing views on live television. They're like, we're not talking about how an entire race of people should be exterminated. They're basically communists. That's what this book was about. And I was like, Are you fucking listening? Like, are you reading?
Wow.
It's ridiculous, man. And it really pisses me off. And what really fucks with me is I have a lot of family and friends and stuff like that on Facebook, and they always sit there and they talk about, oh, it's like, well, I don't understand why you're sitting there and jumping on Trump's case like Biden's a pedophile. Look, honestly, Biden's not my choice. If I could hit redo on the Democratic nomination, I would. And it's funny because I have a lot of friends that voted blue because they refused to vote for Trump. And even they were like, honestly, I kind of wish Bernie had won now. I kind of trolled him when he was running, but I kind of wish he won now. I don't think he's a great choice, but he was probably the best out of all that we had. You know,
I have a coworker that is like, I voted red for the past I don't know how many years, and this year I did not vote for Trump.
Yeah, it's like Trump has ruined a Republican Party that I once respected. I voted red before, and it was a party that I once respected. He is. It was a party I once respected. It's a party that I have a lot of family that lean towards, and I can't seem to get my friends to understand what they're voting for here. So many people wanted to sit there and compare the riots last Wednesday to the Black Lives Matter protests in June. First of all,
They're two different things.
there's a lot of us that weren't a huge fan of the burning and looting that happened then either. Right? You probably could have found a little bit of a better way to do it than going straight to destruction. But the thing is, it's understandable. Because you're doing it because you feel like your country doesn't give a fuck about you. That's why they did it. People's lives were being taken and nothing was being done about it. You lost an election. An election that has been proven 62 out of 63 times to have zero fraud whatsoever. And the one win resulted in 500 more votes for Trump. That's a negligible amount.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing about all this is you have people who are claiming to be patriots for their country, attacking the very basis of what a country is set up upon.
Oh,
you know?
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There have been many reasons in the last 200 years where we should have stormed the Capitol building. I'm not saying you're wrong and storming the Capitol building and shooting for revolution, because we probably needed one by now. But it's the reasoning. Is because your man lost an election.
It's like you're storming the Capitol, like you're essentially like attacking the government of your country because the things that you believe in as a patriot of your country failed you in your eyes. And that's such a weird way to do it, like especially from a country that's literally it's prided itself on those morals for the last 100+ years at this point.
I can tell you that the insurrection from last week and the riots from the summer are actually very similar in the single fact that the riots in the summer were because they felt like the government doesn't care about them. That's what they were about. And it's very true. The people that rioted on Wednesday also feel like the government doesn't care about them. And that's where they are both more similar than they realize. However, the ones from Wednesday, well, the government doesn't care about them because that is a class war, not a race war. They are still rioting for the wrong reasons and about the wrong thing.
They were sent by the face of the government to go attack the government because the government let them down. They were sent by the government to the government. they've been played, and that's the horrible thing is the government doesn't care about them, and they've been played by a narcissist despot that made them believe that somebody does care about you, but when that somebody is a narcissistic authoritarian, that's the wrong
kind of care you want.
And the thing about it though is like, yeah, they can care about you, but they care about you until they no longer have to care about you. You know,
Yeah, they care about you as much as they can throw you.
You know, it's like there's a checklist that they go down, and it's like, well, you meet the criteria for my initial stage, but you know, well, your wage is underneath this amount per year, so you can go fuck yourself now. And then they slowly chip away at it. You know, that's how it works. Ironically, we had going back a little bit, we had the opposite situation here in the UK, obviously, where our red party is kind of like having a civil war amongst themselves right now. And like you mentioned that people wished Bernie had won, and we had kind of like because they looked at his policies after the fact and were like, wow, these could have been good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We had the thing here where we had Jeremy Corbyn as the leader. Now Jeremy Corbyn as the leader of Labour, which is our red party, which is our left-wing party, because you guys inverted the colours for some reason.
Yeah, I got nothing there. I don't know what to tell you.
Like, there was a lot of things wrong with Jeremy Corbyn as a leader. I'm just going to put that out there, you know. I don't think he was fit to be a leader of a party, but a lot of the policies that he had were good. And we know that they're good, because we're currently here in 2021, and pretty much every single one of them has been implemented by the rival party, who are now claiming it to be their idea.
Of course.
You know, they're discussing right now, because we're in a countrywide lockdown, they're discussing free internet. Like just across the board, free baseline internet, so everyone can have access to their education. This is something that Corbyn suggested we do in like 2016. Mm-hmm. And they laughed it out of the building. They called it, what was it? Was it broadband communism was the phrase the media threw around or something?
I think so. Something like that.
It was like broadband communism, where it's like, you're just gonna give it away to people, you crazy fool. Where do you think you're gonna get all that money from, Jezza? What are you gonna do? And meanwhile, they're discussing it as a legitimate option when we're worse economically than we were 4 years ago.
Yeah,
and it's crazy, you know. It's like, and that stuff happens all the time where people will slate someone and then, like, after the fact, go, "Wait, what did we just do?"
We kind of fucked up. And
yeah,
I mean,
there's a lot of people that are really wishing Bernie had more of a chance.
Or honestly, we had better Republican options.
Yeah,
we had so many better Republican options. Now, of course, the one that I would have voted for has all of a sudden come out to be even a bigger lunatic than I thought. I was a fan of Ted Cruz until fucking recently. I kind of can't say that so loud, but
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought you were gonna say Kanye then.